What is up, my friends? Welcome back to another Crypto Junkie video. In this video, I really just wanted to take and give a brief insight into some of the early workings of Bitcoin itself and really kind of highlight one of the two most special people. There's obviously Satoshi Nakamoto, which is a pseudonym, and then there's Hal Finney. And Hal is a really special guy. He ended up getting diagnosed with ALS and passing away in 2014. And I just wanted to kind of highlight some of his involvement in the early days, starting with the very beginning. So January 11th, just 8 days after the Genesis block was created, Hal was communicating on the Bitcoin boards, which is where most of the early communication happened. You can still find those till this day. You can comb through the entire boards and really go through the history that you want, but there's a piece I wanted to highlight. Some people immediately recognize that Bitcoin catches on, its early users will get rich. Hal Finney estimates that if Bitcoin became the world's reserve currency, each Bitcoin could be worth as much as $10 million. The possibility of generating coins today with a few cents of compute time may be quite a good bet, he says. Nakamoto agrees. It might make sense just to get some in case it catches on. Finney mines Bitcoin for a few days and then turns it off because his computer got too hot. In hindsight, he says that was probably a bad idea. But like very early on, they already knew that it could catch on as the world's reserve currency narrative. And I think it still could work. Like right now, it's kind of taking on more of like a digital gold aspect, but with changes with the Lightning Network and Taproot, which we'll cover in future videos, and some of the big changes that are coming to Bitcoin to add anonymity and some other feature sets, I think are absolutely fantastic and do kind of help reinvigorate something that has had a slow and low amount of updates over the last 5 or so years, right? Outside of hostile takeover attempts and a rollback in 2009. But the hash war thing in 2017, I remember that very clearly, as I'm sure many of you do. So I wanted to end this video with one of the last, I believe, posts from Hal before he ended up passing away. But I wanted to read this out to you guys, and we'll have it on the screen so you can see it as well. I thought I'd write about the last 4 years, an eventful time for Bitcoin and me. For those who don't know me, I'm Hal Finney. I got my start in crypto working on an early version of PGP, working closely with Phil Zimmerman. When Phil decided to start PGP Corporation, I was one of the first hires. I would work on PGP until my retirement. At the same time, I got involved with the CryptoPunks or Cyberpunks. I ran the first cryptography-based anonymous remailer, among other activities. I'm not sure which one he actually was involved in because there was Hashminer, there was Hashcash, and that what's interesting about that is that's work of Adam Back, who many believe to be Satoshi actually, and that it was Hal and Adam that created it all together. Hashcash is essentially an anonymous email loop of some sort, right? Hashcash is a proof of work algorithm that was used as a denial of service countermeasure. And so what's interesting is a lot of the actual, let's call it white paper or original talk of Hashcash was then ported over and used in Bitcoin. So that's why many people think that those two are actually related. We don't know for sure, maybe we never will, because it seems like whoever did create it doesn't really care to take ownership of it and wants it to succeed without their ownership. So anyways, fast forward to late 2008 when and the announcement of Bitcoin. I've noticed that cryptographic graybeards, I was in my mid-50s, tend to get cynical. I was more idealistic. I have always loved crypto, the mystery and the paradox of it. When Satoshi announced Bitcoin on the cryptography mailing list, he got a skeptical reception at best. Cryptographers have seen too many grand schemes by clueless noobs. They tend to have a knee-jerk reaction. I was more positive. I had long been interested in cryptographic payment schemes. Plus, I was lucky enough to meet and extensively correspond with both Wee Dai and Nick, either Szabo or Sabo. I'm not really sure if it's silent S or Z, what's going on there. Generally acknowledged to have created ideas that would be realized with Bitcoin. We'll cover both these characters as we go through this kind of series that we'll create here as well. I had made an attempt to create my own proof of work based currency called RPOW. So I found Bitcoin fascinating. When Satoshi announced the first release of the software, I grabbed it right away. I think I was the first person besides Satoshi to run Bitcoin. I mined block 70 something, and I was the recipient of the first Bitcoin transaction when Satoshi sent 10 coins to me as a test. I carried on an email conversation with Satoshi over the next few days, mostly me reporting bugs and him fixing them. Today, Satoshi's true identity has become a mystery, but at the time I thought I was dealing with a young man of Japanese ancestry who was very smart and sincere. I've had the good fortune to know many brilliant people over the course of my life, so I've recognized the signs. After a few days, Bitcoin was running pretty stably, so I left it running. Those were the days when difficulty was 1, and you could find blocks with a CPU, not even a GPU. I mined several blocks over the next few days, but I turned it off because it made my computer run hot and the fan noise bothered me. Could you imagine? In retrospect, I wish I had kept it up longer, but on the other hand, I was extremely lucky to have been there at the beginning. It was one of those glass half full, empty things. The next I heard of Bitcoin was late 2010 when I was surprised to find out that it was not only still going, Bitcoins actually had monetary value. I dusted off my old wallet and I was relieved to discover that my Bitcoins were still there. As the price climbed to real money, I transferred the coins into an offline wallet where hopefully they'll be worth something to my heirs. Speaking of heirs, I got a surprise in 2009 when I was suddenly diagnosed with a fatal disease. I was in the best shape of my life at the start of the year. I had lost a lot of weight and taken up distance running. I had run several half marathons and I was starting to train for a full marathon. I worked my way up 20+ mile runs and I thought I was all set. That's when everything went wrong. My body began to fail, I slurred my speech, lost strength in my hands, and my legs were slow to recover. In August 2009, I was given the diagnosis of ALS, also called Lou Gehrig's disease, after the famous baseball player who got it. ALS is a disease that kills motor neurons, which carry signals from the brain to the muscles. It causes first weakness, then gradually increasing paralysis. It is usually fatal within 2 to 5 years. My symptoms were mild at first and I continued to work, but fatigue and voice problems forced me to retire in early 2011. Since then, the disease has continued to progress, essentially, and get worse. Today, I am essentially paralyzed. I am fed through a tube and my breathing is assisted through another tube. I operate the computer using a commercial eye tracking system. It also has a speech synthesizer, so this is my voice now. I spend all day in my power wheelchair. I worked up to an interface using an Arduino so that I could adjust my wheelchair's position on my eyes. It has been an adjustment, but my life is not too bad. I can still read, listen to music, and watch TV and movies. I recently discovered that I can even write code. It's very slow, probably 50 times slower than I was before, but I still love programming and it gives me goals. Currently, I'm working on something Mike Earn suggested, using the security features of modern processors designed to support trusted computing to harden Bitcoin wallets. It's almost ready to release, I just have to do documentation. And of course, the price gyrations of Bitcoins are entertaining to me. I have skin in the game, but I came by my Bitcoin through luck with a little credit to me. I lived through the crash of 2011, so I've seen it before. Easy come, easy go. That's my story. I'm pretty lucky overall. Even with the ALS, my life is very satisfying, but my life expectancy is limited. Those discussions about inheriting your Bitcoins are of more than academic interest. My Bitcoins are stored in a safe deposit box and my son and daughter are tech savvy. I think they're safe enough. I'm comfortable with my legacy. Edited slightly. So kind of a sad story, you know, and his birthday I believe is on May 4th, so he would have been 65 this year. I believe he passed at 59. Let's just double check my math. Passed away August 28th, 2014. He was somewhere in his 50s. Anyways, so that's just a quick little deep dive into Hal and one of his, I believe this is one of his last messages, and it was by far one of the most widely read messages he ever put on the forums. And so there you have it. Comment below if you got something to say. Like the video. If you're brand new here and you like this sort of thing, most people watching these videos are still not subscribed. Take a second, click the red button, subscribe, hit the bell notification, turn it to all so you don't miss out on future videos, and we'll see you again real soon.